The Galactic Council convened in their Grand Hall, a place where the fate of countless species had been decided for centuries. The room was vast, illuminated by the cold, sterile glow of the stars beyond the windows. In the center of the room stood the representatives of the most powerful races in the galaxy, all united in their disdain for one species, humanity. The council leader, a towering figure with a voice as cold as the void, addressed the assembly. "Humanity has become a threat," he began, his tone sharp. "They have outgrown their place in the galaxy. Their rapid advancements, their insatiable hunger for knowledge, it cannot be allowed to continue." Murmurs of agreement echoed through the chamber. The humans had once been weak, easily dismissed by the more advanced races. But in the past few decades, they had risen at an alarming pace. Their technology, their ability to adapt, and their refusal to bow down to the Council's authority had unsettled the status quo. One of the counselors, a reptilian figure with scales shimmering under the light, spoke up. "They must be contained. If we allow them to continue, they will surpass us all. And when they do, they will seek revenge." The council leader nodded. "We cannot risk that. Humanity's progress must be halted. Their influence must be erased from the stars." As the council discussed their plans, none of them realized that humanity was already aware of the betrayal. In the shadows, far from the prying eyes of the galactic powers, humans were preparing. They had seen this coming long ago and had been quietly developing a technology so powerful that it would shift the balance of power forever. But for now, they remained silent, allowing the council to believe they were weak and unaware. The humans would strike when the time was right, and when they did, the galaxy would never be the same again. In the depths of Earth's most secretive facilities, far from the gaze of the Galactic Council, humanity's greatest minds worked tirelessly. Hidden beneath mountains, deep within oceans, and in the vastness of space, laboratories buzzed with activity. Every scientist, engineer, and military strategist knew the stakes. The Council's betrayal was no secret, not anymore. For years, humanity had pretended to be oblivious, appearing weak and scattered, even disorganized to the rest of the galaxy. But that was a facade. Beneath the surface, humanity had been preparing for this moment, for the inevitable betrayal by the other galactic races. Admiral Sarah Grayson stood at the helm of one such project, overseeing the development of humanity's most secret weapon, Project Aegis. A technology so advanced that even the brightest minds of the Galactic Council wouldn't be able to comprehend it, a weapon of defense and offense, capable of turning the tide of any battle. But more than that, it was humanity's shield, a way to protect their civilization from extinction. As she gazed over the massive facility before her, where towering machines and glowing energy fields pulsed with life, she couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. Humanity had been pushed into a corner, but they had responded not with submission, but with innovation, resilience, and an unbreakable will to survive. "How long until we're operational?" she asked, her voice sharp as it cut through the hum of the machines. Dr. Tanaka, one of the lead engineers on Project Aegis, looked up from his console, his face illuminated by the soft blue glow of the data streams. "We're close, Admiral. A few more calibrations, and we'll be ready for a full-scale test." Grayson nodded, her gaze hard. "Good. We don't have much time." The Galactic Council's fleet was vast, powerful, and ruthless. When they decided to strike, it would be swift and without mercy. But Grayson knew that they were not expecting a fight. They believed humanity was weak, fragmented, and unaware of the impending attack. That's where they were wrong. "Make sure it's ready," she said, turning to leave. "We won't get a second chance at this." As she walked away, the weight of what was to come pressed down on her. Humanity's survival depended on what they were building here, in the dark. If they failed, there would be no recovery, no second chances. But if they succeeded, they wouldn't just survive, they would rise. And the galaxy would finally understand the true strength of humanity. In the cold expanse of space, aboard the ISS Horizon, Captain Elias Marks gazed out at the stars, his mind clouded with thoughts of the coming storm. The Galactic Council had underestimated humanity for far too long. Now, with their betrayal finally exposed, it was clear that the moment to strike was drawing near. He turned to his communication officer, Lieutenant Harper, who was hunched over her console, focused on decoding the intercepted Council transmissions. These messages held the key to their strategy and to understanding just how deep the conspiracy ran. "We've cracked the encryption, Captain," Harper said, her voice tight with tension. "It's worse than we thought." Marks moved to her station, his eyes narrowing as the decoded messages scrolled across the screen. The Council was planning an all-out strike, targeting key human colonies, Earth's defenses, and even their secret research facilities. They wanted to cripple humanity in one swift blow. "They think they can take us out in one move," Marks muttered. "Fools." His fingers tightened into fists as he processed the gravity of the situation. The Council believed they were still in control, but Marks knew better. Humanity had been preparing for this moment, even as they watched the Council build its fleets. The question was not if they would strike back, but how. "Send this to Admiral Grayson," Marks ordered. "She needs to see this immediately." Harper nodded and began transmitting the data, but Mark's mind was already elsewhere. The Council's plans were aggressive, and it was only a matter of time before they launched their assault. But humanity had something the Council didn't, the element of surprise. They had no idea about Project Aegis. "Captain," Harper's voice interrupted his thoughts, "there's something else in these transmissions." "A name." Marks raised an eyebrow. "What name?" Harper hesitated before speaking. "It's called the Anvil. The Council keeps referring to it as their last resort." Mark's eyes widened. He had heard rumors of such a weapon before, whispers among the Council's ranks about a device so powerful that it could end entire civilizations. If the Council had indeed built something called the Anvil, then humanity was facing a threat far greater than they had anticipated. "Damn it," Marks whispered under his breath. "They've built their own doomsday device." He straightened, his decision made. "Contact Grayson. We need to accelerate the timeline. If they're going to use the Anvil, we have to strike first." As the crew of the Horizon scrambled to relay the message, Marks felt the weight of history bearing down on him. The next few days would determine the future of humanity, and there was no room for error. The Council had pushed humanity to the brink. Now it was time to push back, with everything they had. The black void of space erupted in flashes of light and energy as humanity's fleet engaged the Galactic Council's armada. The battle had begun. From the bridge of the ISS Horizon, Captain Elias Marks watched as the first wave of human ships collided with the Council's forces. Lasers sliced through the dark, missiles streaked toward their targets, and the distant booms of explosions echoed across the comms. But this was only the beginning. "Admiral Grayson is en route with the second wave," Harper reported, her voice steady despite the chaos erupting around them. "She says Project Aegis is ready." Marks felt a surge of relief. Project Aegis, the weapon that humanity had kept hidden for so long, was their ace in the hole. It wasn't just a tool of destruction, it was a force capable of defending Earth and striking back with a power the Council had never seen. "Good," Marks replied. "Prepare for deployment." As he gave the order, he couldn't help but marvel at the scene unfolding before him. The Galactic Council's fleet was massive, with ships from dozens of alien races, each more advanced than the last. Yet, here was humanity, a species once deemed too weak to survive in the galaxy, standing against the might of the Council. The battle raged on, with casualties mounting on both sides. Human ships moved with precision and strategy, utilizing their smaller size and agility to outmaneuver the Council's larger, more cumbersome vessels. But the Council had numbers, and for every ship humanity took down, two more seemed to take its place. "Captain, incoming transmission from Grayson," Harper called out. Marks turned to the screen as Admiral Grayson's face appeared, her expression hard and determined. "We're moving into position," she said. "But there's a problem. We've detected a massive energy buildup. It's the Anvil." Mark's heart sank. The Council's doomsday device. They had activated it. We don't have much time, Grayson continued. If they deploy the anvil, it's over. Project Aegis needs to be activated now. Understood, Mark said, his voice grim. We'll cover you. As the transmission ended, Marks turned to his crew. You heard her. All ships, focus fire on the lead council vessel. We need to buy Grayson time. The Horizon and its fleet surged forward, unleashing everything they had on the council's flagship. The enemy ship was massive, bristling with weapons and shields, but humanity's determination was stronger. One by one, the shields began to crack under the relentless assault. Captain, they're charging the anvil, Harper warned, her voice tight with fear. Marks glanced at the readouts. The energy buildup was massive, enough to wipe out half the human fleet in a single shot. But they weren't finished yet. Fire everything we've got. Marks shouted. The Horizon's weapons lit up the sky as missiles, lasers, and torpedoes slammed into the Council's ship. Explosions ripped through its hull, and for a moment, the entire ship seemed to shudder. Then, with a deafening roar, the Council ship exploded, a blinding flash of light illuminating the battlefield. But it wasn't over yet. Even as the flagship crumbled, the anvil remained, its energy levels continuing to rise. Marks watched in horror as the massive weapon began to power up. And then, in a brilliant flash, Project Aegis activated. A shield of unimaginable power spread out from Grayson's position, enveloping the entire human fleet. The energy from the anvil collided with the shield, but instead of obliterating the fleet, the shield absorbed the impact, redirecting the energy back toward the Council's remaining ships. In an instant, the tide of battle shifted. The Council's fleet, once so confident in its superiority, now faced the full might of humanity's ingenuity. As the Council ships began to fall back, retreating in the face of overwhelming force, Marks allowed himself a small smile. They had done it. Humanity had not only survived, they had won. The battlefield had quieted. What remained of the Galactic Council's once mighty fleet drifted in ruin, debris floating silently through the void. The stars, witnesses to the struggle, shone as they always had, indifferent to the lives lost and the history made. But for the humans aboard the ISS Horizon and the rest of the surviving fleet, this was no ordinary night. Captain Elias Marks stood on the bridge, the eerie calm after the battle washing over him like a heavy wave. His crew was silent, the weight of what they had just accomplished still settling in. They had faced impossible odds, a galactic force far more advanced, more numerous, and armed with a weapon that could have wiped them out in an instant. Yet they stood victorious. Damage report, Marks called out, his voice hoarse. Minimal losses on our side, Captain, Harper replied, her voice carrying a sense of disbelief. Project Aegis held strong. The anvil's energy was redirected perfectly. Marks nodded, letting out a breath he didn't realize he had been holding. It had worked. Humanity had stood on the brink of destruction and come out the other side, stronger than ever. A flicker on the comms console caught his attention. Incoming transmission from Admiral Grayson, Harper said. Put it through. Grayson's face appeared on the screen, her expression filled with relief and a hint of exhaustion. Captain Marks, well done. Project Aegis performed even better than we could have hoped. Marks allowed himself a rare smile. We couldn't have done it without your leadership, Admiral. The Council didn't see it coming. Grayson's expression darkened slightly. They didn't, but this isn't over yet. The Council will regroup, and while we've neutralized the anvil, they will seek other ways to regain control. We've bought ourselves time, but we need to stay vigilant. Marks nodded, understanding the gravity of her words. The battle was won, but the war for humanity's future was far from over. Still, this victory would send a message across the stars: humanity was not to be underestimated. As the transmission ended, Marks turned to his crew. This is only the beginning, he said, his voice steady. We've shown them what we're capable of, and they'll think twice before underestimating us again. The crew's silence slowly gave way to a low cheer, building until the entire bridge was filled with the sound of celebration. They had earned this moment, and though the future remained uncertain, one thing was clear: humanity had risen, and no force in the galaxy could take that away. As the stars continued to shine, undisturbed by the conflict below, humanity's place among them had finally been secured.